to increase as MPs propose higher taxes. You're the chair of the Finance and National Planning Committee. Is this factual?
You know, Trevor, it was a very, very delicate balancing act. You remember there was a proposal on removing bread from zero-rated status.
Yeah.
Removing flour, unga ya ugali, you know, wheat,
Yeah.
wheat flour, and so on. And then there was a proposal around the motorbikes and so on and so forth. So the committee, while cushioning the very, you know, lowest Kenyans and returning bread as zero-rated, returning unga as zero-rated, so that we can at least have food on the table. We had to look for, you know, ways here and there where we could also cover the revenue gaps that we were facing. So there was a marginal.
Yeah.
It's very, very marginal, and it's only going to raise money because of the volumes.
Yeah.
Because of the volumes of the calls, because it's moving from 15 to, it's an excise, moving from 15 to 20%. It might not be felt by every single individual,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, because of the volumes, it will raise some money. So I think it was a tough balancing act. It's between, you know, food on the table,
yeah,
you know, or browsing. So the committee had to, you know, when we told Treasury you can't have bread, you can't have unga,
yeah,
we had to look for other ways to fill in the gaps. And you can see there, the rate of excise, for example, on imported confectionery,
yeah,
we increased it from 20 to 35 shillings a kilo, which
yeah,
means we are saying if you want to eat imported chocolate, imported sweets, pay for it, you
yeah,
know, but let's protect our local industries. So I think we must look at it holistically. I think you can't just pick one item,
yeah,
and put it here and make it look, you know, like there's something really wrong.
Yeah.
We have to look at it holistically. What did we cushion? And we cushioned bread. We cushioned more our boda riders. We cushioned unga, you know. And we cushioned our local manufacturers as far as sweets and so on are concerned. Our local farmers,
yeah,
you know, tractors are now exempt and so on. And then we looked for, you know, small areas here and there where we could marginally, yeah, increase, where we have volumes, okay, and we could marginally increase so that we can bridge the gap.
Okay. Wamatangi, do you agree that this was the lesser evil? The story is on page 12. The airtime internet cost to rise as the members of parliament proposed higher taxes on that. And the chair is explaining that this was pretty much the lesser evil.
Well, you know, I think first I want to laud what the National Assembly did on that decision to ensure that they remove from the increased tax bracket, yeah, those basic commodities that Kenyans rely on all the time. And in spite of the fact that that money was seriously needed in running the affairs of government, I think the higher road to take was to ensure that we cushion the ordinary man and woman and children of this country. And I think what government needs to do is to rethink how do they raise money without necessarily increasing the tax burden to the lowest, yeah, of the low in our. So I think for that they did well. Well, okay, taxing airtime and internet definitely that's going to be an issue. See, we are now largely a digital economy, and technology is part of our day-to-day living, probably in almost everything that we do. And looking at how we communicate, Trevor, yeah, nowadays, there is no way, absolutely, that you can overlook the importance and necessity of getting things going in daily life, yeah, including enterprise itself, you know, business. You've seen some of the adverts that are run by companies like Safaricom. They show that, you know, even Mama Mbogas, yeah, when they are placing an order for their wares of trade for the day, yeah, they'll have to place a call. You get what I mean? I mean, most of the people receive even basic payments for small, you know, businesses via services like you know, M-Pesa and so on. So I think definitely it will have an impact on the cost of running every day, doing business. Yeah. Nowadays internet, Trevor, is like it's like also an everyday necessity wherever you go. That's why it's free in cafes and so on. I think so. At the end of the day, we can't overlook the fact that it's going to have an impact on the lives of Kenyans. But somehow, somewhere, you know, money has got to be raised, and you can call it the lesser evil if you like, because then if the alternative was to go to bread and milk, then you'd rather go to the two. So I think I would concur with that, Trevor.
Okay. Dr. Mutua?
George Bush, the late George Bush Sr., when he was running for office, he said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." Yeah. The issue of taxation is very key, especially in leadership. And how do you balance it? You remember the famous quote by Marie Antoinette, the French ruler at the time, when she was told that her people don't have bread. She said, "Let them eat cake." Yeah. And eventually led to her removal. Because it's all an issue of availability of food and items to make people survive, or to lead you to survive. When it comes to issues of taxes, I can see where the parliamentary committee and what the National Assembly is trying to do. It's a balancing act. But it doesn't solve the problem that we face in this country, and that is that we are taxing people too much. Yeah. Kenyans are taxed. The county governments are taxing. The national government is taxing. Everywhere you turn around, you're being taxed. Yes, you've got to plug in the hole, economic hole. And I've always argued that the best way of dealing with taxes is to broaden the base, like they have done in United Arab Emirates, like they do in Canada. Broaden the base. I've seen that they passed a few laws, the excise duties, the Miscellaneous Fees and Levies Act. What we need to do is to remove the bureaucracy that makes it difficult to work in Kenya. Yeah. If you make it easier for people to start businesses, to bank, you know, get their money out of banks, to be able to move, the customs, cut down the procedures, it will mean that more people will engage in business, money will travel faster, so you're broadening the base. But you've become a country where there's so many restrictions. Everything you do in Kenya, you open the door, kuna pingamizi. Things are blocking you all the time. You need this document, you need this signature, we are a country of bureaucracy. Yeah. And so as a result, our tax base is very, very thin. So it's about broadening. Yeah. Now, this issue of medical also, I know we want to provide universal health care. I'm surprised, I don't know that you talked about them, you know, basically lowering the cost of items, for example, the syringes that you need even for the vaccines that now are taxed, and some of those items that will lower the cost of healthcare in our country. These are necessities for survival. Yeah. These are not luxuries. They're necessities for survival. I understand the excess duty. We are eating imported chocolate, you know. Maybe it's time we went to the move that I'm making when I go around the country. That is, let's form our own factories and we make our own chocolate. You know, let's do value addition and all that. But then now I'm worried about the addition of more taxes to internet connectivity. You see, this is a country with majority of people being young. Yeah. This is a country we are talking about entrepreneurship. We've spent 2 years of COVID where people are being told, get into online business. I talk to people nowadays who just sit at home and are working from home. And there's that online connectivity. Young people are employed now. They are working from home or they are working from shops. Now people are ordering online. That boda guy gets a text, goes, picks up something, you know, brings to your house, you are able to eat. And all across the country, young people are now engaged online. Yeah. Now, when you add the cost of the engagement, what you're doing is basically turning the people against you. You're basically saying, let them eat cake. Because you're telling these young people now who are seeing new hope in online connectivity that I'm sorry. Yeah. Because these are people who are struggling to get bundles. These are people who are barely online because they can't even get into Facebook or even look for jobs because they don't have enough money. Yep. No, you're making it even more difficult for them.
But what options do they have, Governor, in terms of raising the taxes? Because like the chair was saying, it was a lesser evil.
Well, I think we need to go to the American way, what Bill Clinton did. And that is you look at the top echelon of our country and you tax them slightly higher. Okay. It's a balancing, you know, let the businesses, let the very rich pay slightly more and have a quota system, you know what I mean? So that let the very rich who are in excess, you know, yes, you've bought a jet, you've got all these things, you've got all these millions sitting in your bank account, pay slightly more to cushion for the rest of the people. They do it in the United States of America. They do it in Australia. They do it in the United Kingdom. Why can't we do it here? So that now you protect our youth who need that connectivity to look for work.
Okay.
You're being told every time, apply online.
Yeah.
Kuna kazi imetokea kwa gazeti, unasikia apply online. Now how do you apply online already? First of all, you're starving. Now they have added the cost of connectivity. It makes it even very difficult for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair?
Yeah, maybe on the question of health equipment, the biggest share of where the revenue that we are raising has been knocked off is actually in exemptions of medical equipment, supplies, vitamins, oxygen, ventilators and so on. A huge list of medical items have actually been exempt. And that's knocked off quite a bit of the revenue that the finance bill was raising. These exemptions of medical items, supplements and so on, things to keep Kenyans moving around this COVID period.
Yeah.
And for that, Treasury did a good job in listing all this medical equipment and making sure that they're all exempt.
Yeah.
And I do agree with the sentiments raised by Dr. Mutua and our whip in the Senate. But you're in a very, very tough spot because here you have bread, you have unga, you have the very basic of basic. And I do agree as to the role of communications and internet. That's why any increase was very marginal. But we must also look beyond the taxes that we're already levying, and the very same people who are paying taxes and broadening, the base, getting new people into the tax bracket, netting more people in. And some of the things that the finance bill has done is really to tighten areas where rich people or big corporations, multinationals, the loopholes that they've been using for tax avoidance, which is not illegal, is immoral, but is not illegal, the loopholes that they've been using for tax planning and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sealing of those loopholes that will also help in raising revenue. So a lot of work is going into that as well, Trevor.
All right. Let's shift gears again and move on to the next topic, page 6.
Just before that, I think it reminds me, and I like what they said about communication. I remember during Kibaki's days, I was approached by KRA to come up with a slogan, and came up with a slogan, Tulipe Ushuru, Tulinde Uhuru, and basically told people, let's pay our taxes and let's collect our taxes. And Kibaki, President Kibaki would go out and say, wewe tunakujua, ulipi ushuru wewe, lipa, ndio tujenge barabara. And there was an initiative telling people, paying taxes is okay.
Yeah.
But to see people are paying taxes and seeing the roads. People are paying taxes and seeing the schools. People are paying taxes and seeing their money at use.
Yeah.
So it is basically a balancing act. Okay. So we also need to tell people, pay your taxes.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I do feel that Kenyans are heavily taxed.
Okay.
We are taxing them at the county level.
Yeah.
We are taxing them with the value VAT added to nearly everything we buy. I think soon, if we are not very careful, even the air we breathe will be taxed. Because I just feel that we're overburdened. Here I am. I'm in a very comfortable position economically as a Kenyan.
Yeah.
I'm beyond upper middle class. I'm comfortable. I have my properties. I have basically, quote unquote, made it in life. I've been lucky than most. And I find it tough at times, and I look at my relatives and I look at others and I look at the business community that is struggling.
Yeah.
And I think we have to rethink how we are taxing our people if we are going to grow this economy.
Trevor, just a quick one. I think what would need to say, and I think we would need to have a real good discussion on that, because I know today we have a lot of issues to cover.
Yeah.
Means of government to raise money does not only belong to the tax bracket. There are other ways and means that governments raise money, and and one of the best ways, I think, is to ensure that there is a lot of more focus, one, in balancing the budget, applying several measures, including what government was doing the other day, in raising bonds and so many other things, austerity. If there's a whole raft of initiatives that can be taken to ensure that you have, better spending of money to meet the needs that are there for the day. Okay. Because, the tax axis can always incline upwards if that balancing is not there. But because today is not a day of talking only economics.
Yeah.
No, but you see, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's about money in the
You
pocket.
can touch on it,
You
yeah.
see, it's all about the money in the pocket.
Yeah.
And just to take a leaf of that, I know we are taking too long, but you know, these are things that impact people's lives.
Yeah.
People are waking up every morning, they are frustrated. Husbands and wives are looking at each other badly because they are frustrated. Fathers are afraid to go back home because they are frustrated of money. And I like what I saying. There are many ways of collecting money, and this is where it comes down to we have to increase our base. That's why I'm very happy about the Safari Rally, for example.
Yeah.
That's an initiative. It brings money to the country. But we also need to get into manufacturing. Uhuru Kenyatta talks about manufacturing all the time.
Yeah.
But we make it so difficult to manufacture in this country because of the bureaucracy. So I urge Parliament to look at the rules and regulations and the bureaucracy in this country. It takes a minimum, according to the Kenya Bureau of Standards and KEPSA, a minimum of 18 months to 2 years for any foreign entity to set up a factory in this country. It will take you less than a month in Rwanda. So will I bring my money to Kenya, I'll take it to Rwanda. You know, we are frustrating people. Our young people are walking in the streets without jobs. And yet our own systems are frustrating them because the ones making decisions, wameshiba, wako sawa. So we need to get into a system. If Rwanda can do it in less than a month, what is so difficult for Kenya to do it? What is this that's so important in Kenya that you have to go through all these stages that other people in Rwanda, in South Africa, in Australia, in Croatia, you don't have to go through that?
Okay.
Does it mean that we are better off, that it has to take longer than others? It just means that we don't really care for the masses of this country who are suffering.
Okay.
And we have to get out of this country of a few rich people and millions who are poor, struggling.
All right.
We have to remove the bureaucracy for our people to be able to move forward.
And maybe, Trevor, just to finish, just to maybe briefly on the issue of investments and so on, and I think ease of doing business or investing is so important. And one of the things that we've done in this year's Finance Act is to incentivize investments outside Nairobi, so that we also outside Nairobi and Mombasa, so that if you're setting up in Machakos or Kiambu or Homa Bay or, outside Nairobi, there is a bigger investment deduction for you as a person setting up, so that we also have jobs spread out across the country. So I think that's also an important point. But the other thing about how else do we raise money? How else do we fund the things that are going on? Just yesterday we concluded the public-private partnerships bill. A bill that's now going to make PPPs a lot more easier. For 10 years, we've only closed 3 PPP deals because of bureaucracy.
And
Cabinet has to, and only one, So you have to, go to cabinet, I don't know how many times, and so on and so forth. So this bill has cut out a lot of those bureaucracies, so that we are able to then engage in PPP, so that not everything has to be funded by exchequer. If a project is commercially viable, it should be able to proceed. Counties should be able to get into PPPs. People should be able to, put in their money, and that way we don't have to, rely just on borrowing and on taxing.
All right.
And that is how South Africa built its highways.
Yeah.
That is how you build railway. Like I would like, for example, myself in Machakos, to have railway lines running around Machakos. So get somebody with their own money, tell them, jenga reli, shauri yako, weka train shauri yako, charge people. If you go bust, it's not on me, it's on you. People are willing to come and invest in the continent of Africa. Let's make it simple. And business people don't want to spend 2 years negotiating. Kuja on a good idea, 3 months, like they do in Dubai, like they do in the UAE. Build it, watoke waende. We are not losing anything. We're not losing anything, just the way we live. We are kando ya barabara, unajenga reli. But I am very happy about the PPP. That has been a bone of contention. Because, for example, for myself, I would have liked to bring all these companies that want to build things in Machakos and let them charge people at a commercial rate. If they lose money, it's up to them. And who benefits? We benefit because 30, 40 years, it will be remain there for my children and my grandchildren.
Okay. I'll take a quick break here on Daybreak. When you come back, there's a story on page 6. Jubilee and ODM coalition talks renew plans to eject DP Ruto from the party position. We're also going to talk about the mileage scandal that seems to be hitting Parliament. NCIC have also raised, they've launched their strategic plan 2020-2025. Target is hate speech. We'll find out what is the best way of dealing with that in just a bit. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbiji at Citizen TV Kenya, #Daybreak. See you in a short while. This is State of the Nation. We talk about all matters, politics, and everything in between, and we'd like to hear your views on all of them. See you in a bit.